We should be going live right now.
I think we're out there.
Okay. There it is. Okay, let me just make sure the audio is okay. I hear you clicking. That's a good thing.
Nice.
Oh, I just heard me.
I'll just keep my nervous tapping to a minimum.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, that's all working. My friend Olivia from the other podcast just joined us. She said yo in the chat.
Awesome.
So, yo, back at you. All right. I'm going to hit record over here just so that I have that also. All right. And then get this ready over here. All right. Ready, Ken? Here we go.
Yes, sir. Let's make magic.
Let's make some magic. On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, James has been replaced. Well, temporarily anyway. Ken's here.
Hello, hello.
It's the Bantha Milk Podcast. Yeah! Pour a glass of that blue milk, we know it's gonna last. With Rob and James behind the controls, discussing Jedi, Sith, and all the plot holes. Every week we're back, can't be denied. Got the hot takes flowing and the canon clarified.
Yeah, we're back again.
I can't tell if that's an 80s like TV show or a cartoon opening.
I know, right? It could be either one of them. It could definitely be either one of them. Well, folks, it's another week of Maul, 2 more episodes of Maul, which means we are back again. James is on a boat, a really big boat, swimming across the Atlantic Ocean right about now. He's following the boat, by the way. He's going to be the first person to swim across the Atlantic. If you ask him, he'll tell you that. I doubt it. But anyway, yeah, he's on a boat. He's on a nice long cruise going to somewhere in Europe. I don't know. We just ship him off and said, go away. And while he's gone, my friend Ken is here joining us from a multitude of his own podcasts all about Star Wars. So, Ken, tell us about all the podcasts that you're on. And I don't know if you brought some Bantha milk with you or not, but
Well, I happen to bring some Bantha milk
oh, it's blue and everything. Go ahead, tell us all
Yeah.
about it. What do you have for us
Yeah.
tonight, buddy?
So the shows that I tend to hang out with when I'm not here with you, on the Inflatable Falcon with Mike Hinton. We fly out of the galaxy every Wednesday night around 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got another little show that I do with my buddy Todd. It's called Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken, where we talk a lot about the lore of Mandalorians and bounty hunters and those nefarious villains and naysayers and never do gooders. And then I've got my own little show that I put out an episode every once in a while called The Rambling Star Wars Fan.
I love it. I love it. And you have some blue milk there. So what is that blue milk? Is that the true blue or true
It is
goo,
the
whatever?
true blue milk. Yes, sir. It came back not too long ago. They even did a version for a little bit. It was green milk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a jug of it last year. And as Olivia knows from the other chat, we do a lot of food things for Disneyland because Disneyland's constantly changing what they offer food wise. So she's always bring up the foodie guides and asking, almost like, Rob, would you eat this? There's 3 of us on the show, and it's weird. We all have different taste palettes and things like that, and mine's the strangest by far. So I did get the blue milk. I tried a sip of it. I don't like milk. I'm sure she's going to go nuts with that one as well. I don't like milk, but I did try the blue milk. I think it wasn't like a normal milk. It might have been like a coconut milk or something like that, or definitely
Well, this
or
one seems to
vanilla.
be vanilla flavored. Yeah.
Yeah, vanilla flavored milk. Yeah. So it was okay. It was a little different, but still I had a little sip. My kids liked it, whatever. But then when I was done with it, I saw this on Instagram or something like that. Somebody got blue spray paint, the same color as the blue milk, and sprayed the inside of the milk jug with the blue,
Okay.
light blue spray paint. So it looks like it still has that blue milk inside of it, even though if it did, I think it would be really bad smelling a year later. So,
That's for sure.
yeah. So, she said that's a normal take. Okay. Uh, so yeah. So when you're done, if you want to keep the jug, spray the inside with some blue spray paint, and it'll look like you still have blue milk, even though you don't. So yeah. So that's my hot take there. I want to
Well, actually,
apologize.
this isn't sponsored by True Moo, but you should. I don't know if you're aware of this. You could enter a sweepstakes to win $5,000 through
I
them.
did see that. I saw that. I saw the ads for that you can enter with buying a half gallon of it, and you can enter the sweepstakes or whatever it was. So
What do
yeah,
you have tonight?
I have, and this I want to apologize because I got this last week, and the big Flyers fan that I am, I butchered this, and I want to apologize to all of the Flyers fans out there because um, this is called. I said it was Darth Vader because that's what it looks like, but the Flyers goalie's last name is Vladar, and this is called Darth Vladar. It's half Darth Vader's helmet, and I was just like, "Oh, it's a hockey helmet." It's his goalie helmet, so it's
That's
supposed to be
so
a
cool.
Flyers goalie helmet. So it's called Darth Vladar. I had it last week. It's very interesting because it's a dark Czech style pilsner, and anybody who knows beer, pilsners aren't dark. So the fact that it's a dark Czech style pilsner is very odd. And when you drink it, it's also very odd because when you have a dark beer, you're thinking of like a stout, which is like a thicker beer.
Like
And
a Guinness almost.
yeah, like a Guinness, when you're drinking it, you like really feel the beer. You feel how thick it is. Um, and since this is a pilsner, it has that light feel to it. So it's weird. You're expecting thicker. You're expecting like that coffee taste that you get in a pilsner, and it has none of that. So it's very interesting. So there's a little pop there, and
What gives it the dark coloring?
I don't know, and they don't really explain it in the definition of it either. They just say that it is part evil empire, but also with enough Jedi in there to keep it good. But it's definitely
Okay.
dark. We
Yeah, it
don't
almost looks
know.
like Coca-Cola. That kind of darkness.
Yeah, it just says proudly brewed and canned at Manafirkin Brewing in Manahawkin, New Jersey. It says this dark Czech style Pilsner is dark side power with Jedi discipline, looks Sith, drinks light, clean finish, just a shutout worthy of the Force.
Huh.
So doesn't really say
Like
what
you
gives
can't
it.
even see you through
No,
the fluid.
no. You think that it would be like real thick, like a stout, but it is not. So it's very interesting. So cheers to you, my friend, with your blue milk
Cheers.
over there. Cheers. But yeah, it's so like thin, like a Czech style. It's very interesting that it's
Wow.
thin like a pilsner, but you think you're gonna get this like dark and you don't. So it's very weird. Interesting, interesting. Anyway, all right. Before we continue, we're just gonna plug everybody else real quick. Ears up. Puny Ears Up is the main show. Puny Pod is the Marvel show. Buena Vista Boys is the recap of the old vintage Disney shows. Fantasyland Draft League any day now because we are almost into May. Any day now you will hear James and I. We recorded in I don't know February. So I forget at this point what I picked, but it was all Star Wars stuff. So you will hear the Star Wars for May the 4th. You will hear the Star Wars Fantasy Lane Draft League with James and I on there coming up soon. And the Supreme Resort, they just finished up their March Madness because just like in March Madness, it ends in April. The Supreme Resort's second round of the March Madness also ended up in April. So that happened as well. That just came out. So check that out. Ears Up just had a new show that just came out. It was fun. Um, Jason and Taryn went to Disneyland just recently, and with their daughter, Alice. I wonder if she's named after Alice in Wonderland. But they gave a recap because they gave a recap through Alice's eyes as an 8-year-old. So it was fun hearing what Alice had to say about Disneyland and all the fun things she did and stuff like that. So check all of them out.
Were there any meet and greets with the characters for the 8-year-old?
So it was funny. They talked. Taryn actually said she was very disappointed that there wasn't as many as they were hoping for. They did meet and greet. Who was it?
The Mad Hatter?
No, there were two people that they were shocked that she wanted to go see. I can't remember who it was now. And then they said she did see some like the stormtroopers walking around, and the stormtroopers asked her a question, and she was like, "Who are you?" She's not into Star Wars yet, so she was very confused about that. Darn it, I wish I could remember who the two were because they were like, "Really? That's who you want to go see?" But they did say that she did after going on the ride, and I don't think she met Ariel, but it maybe just going on the ride and seeing all the Little Mermaid stuff around the park. She is now a big Little Mermaid fan again. And they were talking about how much the IP in the parks does help remind the kids of all the different shows and different things that they have. So that was fun. So it was fun. Check it out. See what her take is of the park and all the fun things she did. It also it's fun how what the kids like. She was very excited for pool day. Ears Up is watching, and he's he's giving the
Pool day at the hotel.
Yeah, the pool day at the hotel was a very a very big day for her. So, but they did say like they understand now when they were younger in their 20s and 30s and it was just the two of them, it was like nonstop go go go. But now they understand with an 8-year-old you can't go 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 all the time. So they knew like they have to go back. And even when my kids were younger, we did the same thing. We would every day, at noon we would go back to the hotel. Kids would take a nap for a little bit, go play in the pool for a little bit. You just had to decompress and take a break because if you wanted to stay to the end, you had to have that break in the middle of the day, and then you could go to the end. But the parents who try to
you
force
push them.
I was just going to say the parents that try to push them through, they're the ones that are super cranky. So, yeah.
Especially on the bus ride back to the hotel at night.
Oh my God, it is so bad. It is so bad. And especially in like Walt Disney World, because the humidity is 99%. And everybody's just everybody else who did it the right way, you're tired as it is. So you're sitting on the bus ride, you're just like, oh. And then you have that one kid who's just like, "Wah!" And is just, crawling all over everything, and you're jam-packed in there like sardines. And they're like touching everybody. Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely need the pool time. You definitely need the nap time. You need whatever it is. So yeah, you do it differently when you have kids than you do when you don't have kids for sure. So all right, I have just a couple of news articles that I want to try to show you. So since we have the YouTube, so if you're listening in your car right now, pull over, switch over to the YouTube and check it out on the YouTube because the first one is this one. This just came out because our good friend Darth Vader, he just came to Walt Disneyland for the very first time in Galaxy's Edge. And this is the big introduction.
This is Black Spire Spaceport Control. You've docked your ship. Now please identify. We repeat, please identify.
Spaceport Control, stand down. Black Spire Outpost. Not much to look at. We'll get used to looking at it until he gets what he came for. Gets who he came for. Right. How hard can it be to find him? You want to ask? These travelers. What do any of them know about it? That's what he wants to find out. Travelers, Lord Vader will demand your attention. You will maintain order. The spaceport crew will direct you. Are we clear? Ready? No?
I feel like an 8-year-old watching this.
I know, right?
I have come for an enemy of the Empire. I sense his presence. Establish an interrogation zone. Luke Skywalker is here, and I will find him. Troopers, with me.
Maintain order. The spaceport crew will direct you.
With the American.
So that was
Come
it. That
on,
was
that's
the
just too cool.
yeah, the intro of Darth Vader. So that was pretty cool. So Darth Vader is now making his way to, I'm sorry, ears up. It is not called Walt Disneyland. It's not even called Walt's Disneyland. It's just called Disneyland. And over here on the East Coast, it's called Walt Disney World. I apologize. I gave Walt too much credit. It's just Disneyland. He wrote in the chat, Walt Disneyland, haha. Yes, I've been going to Walt Disney World my whole life. I am sorry. So only on the West Coast will you be able to see Darth Vader. Still on the East Coast, we're sticking with Kylo Ren. So we got that. And I have one other thing that I want to share. And where did it go? I found it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so coming May the 4th is coming soon. So, of course, everybody has special May the 4th merch coming out. The one that our good friend Olivia said that she wants to buy is pretty neat. And since our whole show is going to be about Darth Maul, I thought this was pretty cool. But there's brand new Mickey ears coming to the parks and on the Disney store. So you can get really fancy Darth Maul Disney ears. I think, yes, you can see that on our YouTube right now. So they're pretty cool looking Darth Maul. They look like they're bedazzled as well. It looks like there's all kinds of gems in it, little rhinestones and gems and stuff. So it looks pretty cool. So Darth Maul on Mickey ears. It's like pretty cool Mickey and then mixed in with the bad of Darth Maul. So it's pretty cool. So there we go. How can you not love a rhinestone ears? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So get some Darth Maul Mickey ears for your ear collection because Darth Maul, she says I'm buying them for the rhinestones. So Darth Maul, all about what we're talking about this week. And we have episodes 7 and 8 to break down.
Before we get into Maul, did you hear about Galactic Racer?
Go ahead, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so Galactic Racer is a new video game that's coming out this year, and it just recently got a launch date that's going to be October of 2026 when that game will be available. So that's pretty exciting news. Before it was just coming in 2026, this nebulous this nebulous date, but now we have a month when it'll be out. So it'll be out in the fall
That
before
is pretty
Christmas.
cool. I also saw, I don't know if this is where this is coming to. It might just be on Steam. I saw a quick ad for it. I tried to do a little research and then I lost interest just as fast. But I was playing this game. It's so funny. Power Washer 2 on the PlayStation 4 because I don't have the PlayStation 5. But if you want to waste hours of your life pretending to power wash things, this game is so much fun and so stupid all at the same time. You have a power washer and uh skate parks, airplanes, all these different things that you power wash, and you just sit there and just power wash everything clean. I probably wasted 14 hours of my life power washing computerized things. It was so dumb. But I did see a commercial that said you're going to be able to power wash the galaxy now in Star Wars. There's going to be an overlay, and I'm pretty sure I think it's just going to be on the Steam version of it because I don't think it's going to be something that you can download on the PlayStation. But I could be wrong. So if this is true, and if it is an actual thing that you can do, it'll be pretty funny and it'll be pretty awesome. But you'll be able to clean up the Millennium Falcon and any type of X-wings and whatever else all around. So it'll be pretty funny cleaning everything up and making it.
Well, I'm surprised they haven't come out with moisture farming yet.
I know. That would be, add it to Animal Crossings or whatever it is, like just
Yeah,
adding
something like
moisture
that.
farming into there. Yeah. Olivia said
The
this is the
Star
most.
Wars version of Farmville.
Yeah, Farmville. Yeah, moisture farming. Oh my god. She said this is the most dad thing you've ever said. Yes, it totally is. Um Ears Up said that's rad. So he at least agrees with me. So hopefully that wasn't a fake thing, and hopefully it is true that you can eventually get a download where you can power wash Star Wars stuff. If it is, I think I'm gonna have to buy the wherever I can get it, the Steam version or something like that, or rehook up my PlayStation 4 so that I can download it and start power washing Star Wars stuff because that'll be pretty funny. All right. Do you have any other news that you know of, Ken, before we
Just that.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break because it's late for us. And we're going to hit a commercial in here. And then we're going to come back and break down everything for episodes 7 and 8 of Maul. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Excellent.
Excellent. And we're back. I hope you buy that product because it is totally awesome.
Should probably get 2 of them.
Yes, get 2 of them. That's right. And if it's a gambling site, definitely gamble, even if you're 12, because gambling is awesome. All the cool kids do it. If you bet on the Flyers and they lose, do it again and double down and then triple down the next time and then quadruple down after that. Eventually you will win. That's what my roommate in college did. And it worked out oh so well for him. Not really. But anyway. All right. So, Maul. First off, Ken, you have not been on the show since we started watching Maul. What do you think so far?
I am amazed at this show. This show is quite remarkable. First of all, we're we're excited to see more of this story about this evil character, this character who got cut in two in the very first movie he was in. Was given robot legs and came back from the dead, and now we're getting to see him in action again. And the animation for this is like nothing else I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's advanced animation,
Mhm.
way advanced since Clone Wars came out in 2008, but it's stylized in this edgy, beautiful way that I can't accurately describe. I just know I love watching it over and over and over again.
Yeah, like it's so crisp and so clear, but yet at the same time, like they talked about how they painted on glass and then took pictures of it and all that stuff and like smeared it on glass, and that's where you get the backgrounds and everything. So it's like it's crystal clear, so detailed, but at the same time, almost like stained glass in the background, which is really cool. When you see the characters in the front and even like their faces aren't perfect because of like the glass effect that the painting effect that they did, like it looks like it was brushed almost like watercolors, but at the same time still detailed and crisp. It's so cool, the animation. It's really good. And like you said, like I just watched the tail end of the original Toy Story was on television the other night, and I just watched the very tail end of it. And when you see them sitting in the car at the very end when Buzz and Woody fall into the sunroof, it almost looks like the first modeling of the cartoons that they're doing now. It's like, okay, now we're gonna lay another layer on top and another layer on top and another layer on top of that. Like it looks so basic compared to what they can do now. And like these mall cartoons look so different and so original, and the fighting is just so well done, and so the movement is so crisp, and I don't know, I just can't explain it enough how awesome it is. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
amazed that they're able to do motion capture for this, and so the fight scenes are probably some of the most intense fight scenes that we've seen, and you've got laser bolts flying in 100 different directions, and the animation of the lightsaber blades.
Hmm.
So instead of it just looking like a tube of light that's floating around, there's a trail behind the blade, and even the edges of the blade are kind of crinkly and crackly, like Kylo Ren's blade was
Hmm.
in the sequel trilogy. And then you add the other layers to Star Wars animation, and that the music and the sound effects are just off the chain remarkable. David
Yeah.
W. Collins and all the team in Skywalker Sound have done some incredible things, even to the point I heard a story that in some of the scenes they've layered in Sam Witwer screaming as part of Darth Maul's blade while he swings it.
Hmm.
So to take sound effects to that depth and level of detail is like it keeps getting better and better and better and better. And I hope for season 2, season 3, season 4 of Shadow Lord that it continues down this path of awesomeness.
Yeah, 100% because it's great so far. So hopefully it just keeps getting better and better and better. So, all right. Well, episode 7, we're up to 7 already. It's called Call to Oblivion. I also feel like as each episode has gone on, the episodes have gotten better and better as well. And these two episodes, I thought last week's episodes were the two best, and I feel these two even better because we're going someplace in the story, and we're getting so much depth on who Maul is, what has, like, we know if you watch the Clone Wars, you know some of his backstory, but they even did a whole in episode 8, a whole like his whole backstory in memory sequences and stuff like that. When we get to 8, we'll go through all of it. And the B storyline with Devin and the other storyline as well with all of them, Riley and Devin and her master and everything. Like that story is coming together nicely. The Maul story is coming together nicely. So it's coming to a good spot now, which is really good. So it starts with the Star Destroyer over Janix. We see sending more Imperial ships and surveillance droids across the city. Various people are scared. Finally, we land on the train station in lockdown, and this is where Maul and Devin escape from the Inquisitors in the last episode. Uh, they're following him because the Inquisitor is looking for uh, Devin and Riley are talking, and they're saying we're following him because the Inquisitor is looking for us, and if we don't follow him, we're dead. Maul says to them after he is tired of hearing them argue, the two of them. I like how the two of them are talking like Maul can't hear them. I'm like, he's 5 feet in front of you. He can hear everything that you guys are saying. He's like, shut up already. So he's finally like,
It reminded me of the scene from with DJ in was it The Last Jedi, where it's like, I couldn't help but overhearing you because you were talking so loudly.
yeah,
I'm right here.
I'm
You're
right
talking
here.
about me, and I'm right here.
I'm right here. Yeah. So he's like, we're being hunted. You would be wise to follow me. If you choose to continue on your own, you do so at your own peril. And then, and then she says, I need to get back to my master and get this boy to his father. So Riley and Devin are probably about the same age, but she, being a Jedi and being trained her whole life as a Jedi, she's seen so much, and he's still just like a boy who was just playing Star Wars lacrosse 2 weeks ago or 3 days ago, whatever it was. And she's been in probably a half dozen battles already in her lifetime. So it's funny that she's treating him like a kid, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm no boy." And I also just wrote down that these episodes are so hard to talk about because they keep jumping back and forth so much that it's like so hard to keep track of what's going on in it. You're like, oh wait, did that happen yet? Did this happen yet? But I'm trying to do my best. All right. So anyway, Docky and Lawson are in a deserted street next to the sign that reads store closed and another sign that reads closed, closed. And then they uh sorry, Devin, Docky is saying like, we need to get out of here. You need to help us. What can you do? And Lawson's like, okay, I'll ask my friend. And he calls Renee Sue, and she's also in hiding, and he can't get in touch with her. And then Docky says, you must not let your doubts consume you, because Lawson is like he's going nuts because he can't find his son. So he's like, oh, and then Donkey says, don't let your doubts consume you. And then we go back to the tunnel right away. And Maul works to make himself more relatable to Devin. She sees him simply as a murderer, but he lets her know that, hey, I'm actually a victim here too. When she asks him about his master, he says his betrayal was devastating, but it was not the deepest wound. And she said, who trained you? Is he still alive? And he was like, unfortunately. Uh, and then, he's talking
And he
about
never said his
cities.
name either.
No, he never said his name, but we know who he's talking about. So we know he's talking about Darth Sidious, and we find out all this more in episode 8. But then we go down to the battles of the city. We go up to the skyscraper where Merrick, the first brother, is like sitting on top of the skyscraper, either as like Spider-Man or Batman. I saw it more as like a Batman pose. But it could also be, you could also say, oh, it could be Spider-Man. But I was like, oh, he looked like Batman sitting up there. And then it was just like a second of him sitting up there, and then he just runs away. And I was like, okay. And then we go back to Maul's base, and Lundy Barrow is he's still there. And when he sees Devin, he says, oh, well, look who's back, which I thought was pretty funny. And this is also the first time that I didn't realize how big Spybot was. Because he's like next to them. And to me, originally, I thought Spybot was the size of like Princess Leia when she was little Leia in Obi-Wan, and she had that little
Oh, you
droid.
thought it was big as Lola?
Yeah, as Lola. I thought she was as little as Lola. But then when he was standing, like floating right next to them, he was much bigger than Lola. So I was like, oh,
It was like a manhole cover.
yeah. I didn't realize he was, it was as big as a manhole cover. That's a perfect way to explain it. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, so he kept like banging into them. He's like, eh. But yeah, he's so funny with his little like pirate and look and everything, and the way he like talks, but doesn't really say words, but you can understand everything he's saying. He's pretty funny.
And you know
Uh,
who does his voice, right?
no, who?
David W. Collins.
What other voices does he do? If I,
David W. Collins. He
yeah.
also did Proxy's voice in the Star Wars Unleashed video games.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
So it's David W. Collins as Spybot and Sam Witwer as Maul. Sam Witwer was also the voice of Starkiller while David W. Collins was the voice of Proxy. So these two actors worked together in other Star Wars stuff.
Oh, that's really funny. Well, look at that. There you go. That's why I have you on the show, to help me out there. Um, so then, as they're in his base, Maul's talking to what's her name, the Mandalorian,
Rookcast.
Rook, yeah, and then Devin and Riley are like talking. They're like, "We need to get out of here." So then they start running away. They get like 20 feet, and Maul just like jumps right over top of them and stops them. And she says, "The choice is ours. I'm not leaving without my master." And then Maul tells Devin that he has a plan to really take down the Empire. So this idea takes root in her. She knows that Maul's a murderer. She knows that he uses the dark side, but maybe she's starting to think that they need him to do what she needs to do. Her master wants to run and hide. He wants to use caution and defense, but Maul has a plan. He offers solutions. So he's like, "Leave this planet with me, and I'll reveal my plan to do just that." But Devin still resists and wants to take Riley to safety. So Maul freezes her. This was a neat scene. He like freezes her with the Force, and then turns her lightsaber on and makes her start fighting him, which is pretty cool. And then as he's like forcing her to fight them, she like you can see that she gets a little bit angry in here. So she's definitely fighting with her emotions to fight the dark side, to fight whether or not she wants to turn to the dark side to like follow Maul or not. I know this is where the show wants it to go. I don't want her to follow Maul. Um, I hope she doesn't follow Maul. I hope like he keeps pushing for her to be his apprentice. And I don't want that to happen. What do you think? Do you think she's going to become his apprentice or
I think season one's going to end on a cliffhanger, and we're not really going to know. Um, I I I think, to your point, that that's where they're bringing the story. They're bringing, Devin and Maul closer and closer together, and making these events happen in such a way where that leap makes sense for Devin as a character.
Mhm.
And I guess the hope in me is similar to yours. I hope she's able to resist it. However, I think there's a good possibility that in episodes 9 and 10, the ones we haven't seen yet,
Yeah.
um, some really heavy stuff is going to go down, and she's going to have to make a really hard choice. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that choice will be the one that we're hoping it is.
Yeah, I hope it's not. I hope she doesn't make that choice. I hope she doesn't go with him. But anyway, so he's he's trying to get her to fight him, and then as they're fighting, because they pull out their lightsabers, it draws the attention of the Empire. So then all of a sudden now all these um, stormtroopers come down and gunships are starting to fire on them. And Devin hides behind some crates because there's always crates sitting on pathways in Star Wars for no apparent reason. So he's hiding behind the crates. Riley could go with Devin and leave, but she instead decides, I'm too good of a person to leave Maul here by himself to try and fend off all of these stormtroopers by himself. I will stay and fight him. Are 9 and 10 the last two episodes? Is it 12 episodes? Isn't it 12 episodes?
Nope, it's just 10
It's just not.
episodes.
It's just 10 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
5 weeks. It's 5 weeks of episodes. So next week, Star Wars Day, May the 4th, will be the last two episodes of this season.
okay. So yeah. So next week is the last two, um, and then we'll be back to every other week. That'll be sad. All right.
And
So
I see you can see that challenge in her, because on one
yeah.
hand, she's been trained to protect people,
Mm-hmm.
trained to be a source of peace and justice. And so, even to your point a moment ago, where she was fighting with Maul against the stormtroopers, you could say she's following the Jedi code
Yeah.
in protecting Maul.
Right.
Because Maul is a human being, and the Empire is attempting to kill him. And I also find it interesting. You had mentioned earlier that she sees Maul as a murderer.
Right.
Yet some of her actions, even in these scenes here, lead to the death of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So murdering is taking the life of someone. And
Yeah.
in this season, we have seen several instances in which Devon's actions have led to the deaths of other people.
Hmm.
So it would be very easily for Maul to turn around and say, "Hey, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
You're calling me a murderer, but you just killed 2 stormtroopers."
Yeah. And even when she runs in this scene to go because they capture Riley, as she's running to go try and save Riley, you see her, she just goes through like 6 stormtroopers and shoo, 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 as she's running, almost like what they did to Maul, like cuts right through them as she's running past them. And as she's doing it, she's like yelling, like she's angry. She's like, "No, ah!" So like she's showing that emotion that Jedi aren't supposed to have any emotion type of thing. She's showing that emotion.
Well, as a coach of athletes, I'm going to guess that there are times in the huddle you've worked to really get the players amped up
Right.
for
Yeah.
that next play, for that next set, for that next whatever. And that's kind of what Maul did. Like let's get that aggression going. Let's get that energy going. Because guess what? They're coming for us, baby.
Yeah.
And we got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, so that's what he got her to do. He got her all fired up and ready to go. So, then as the scene transpires, Riley does get taken by the Empire. Uh, Devin sees them capturing him, and she turns around to try and save Riley. She jumps onto the gunship, but the doors close. The gunship flies away. She lands on the pathway, turns around and sees Maul still fighting and is mad, and then like leaves and is like, "All right, this is your fault. I'm done." And she still shows like a face at him, and then she disappears. Um, and then big fight ensues. Riley taken by the Imperials. And then we cut to the scene of Lieutenant Blake and Merrick greeting on the greeting site. And this is when we see the Sith Inquisitor shuttle. And a new Inquisitor shows up. The sixth brother exits the ship. And we just see him come out. And then, boom, we go to Master Daki and Lawson, who give a little background on his Jedi experience. They're walking down the tunnel, the train tunnel that we were just in. And he said, Lawson said, I worked with one of her kind before years ago. It never added up to me what they said about the Jedi being traitors, not from what I saw. The people who actually encountered the Jedi and worked with them before, they said they could never turn against the Republic. Then as they're talking, we see Devin coming running the opposite direction. And Lawson says, Where's Riley? And she says he was taken by the Empire. And then this is the next part where we see a little bit of a Devin's resistance to Daki, because Daki's recommendation in this situation is if we leave, they'll give Riley back. And Devin says, we can't leave Devin locked up. We have to do something. And Lawson says, well, only if you both need to help me. Perhaps if we try to extricate ourselves, they would find leniency in Lawson's. And then Devin looks at Daki and says, and chooses violence in action. She says, she's very slowly sliding towards Maul's way of thinking. And then they say, okay, let's go try and break them out instead of leaving. So then we go back and Maul finishes off the Imperials. We get a quick scene that sets up the Mandalorian mercenaries are going to leave him after the episode. Rook says, we need to get off fast pack. She says, fast pack up only what we need. And I love this. The mercs are carrying all of these boxes of money. And she's like, we don't have time for that. And they're like, but he's like, he's basically like, I'm taking my credits. And she's like, no, we don't have time to pack up all those credits. I don't know about you, but I'm taking my money. Like, this is my money. The only thing I'm doing, I'm working for you because you're paying me. And now you're telling me that I worked for you, you paid me, and now I have to leave my money behind? Like, what's going on? Like, these mercenaries they're not in it for the love of Maul. They don't follow Maul the way Rook does. They're in it just because they're hired guns. And if you're hired guns, all you care about is your money. So you can see that there's a little divide there going on. Um, so then we go
Well, even
cut.
that brings up the idea of loyalty and focus.
Hmm.
You know, it's one thing to be loyal to an ideal. It's another thing to be, self-centered or selfish and loyal only to yourself and your own benefit. And look where, and not to spoil anything, because the outcome happens in the next episode, but look where that got them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yep. So and we'll find out very soon. So then it cuts back to the police station. Blake continues to harass Two Boots. Um, this time he takes away his cup of calf, and as he takes it away, he looks down inside of it and realizes that it's empty, and he's like very confused. But Two Boots just wants to fit in. He just wants to hold a cup, just like Lawson does and all the other cops do. But Blake and the Empire they're generally taking everything away. He took away his boots last week. Now he takes away his coffee. And Two Boots, he brings in Lawson's son, and Two Boots is like, no, he's not bad. Like, he's Lawson's son. Like, I'll take him, whatever. He's not. And the Blake says, Droid, would you like your memory wiped and be reprogrammed? And now Two Boots is getting even more confused, but you can see that his programming isn't allowing him to understand what's going on. He's like, hold on. I thought the Empire was good. He's like, but they seem to be not treating me well, but they're supposed to be treating me well, but they're doing things
Well,
that
even them. So, Two Boots early on was confused with Lawson not following the rules.
right.
The rules were, in this situation we need to call the Empire, and Lawson didn't want to do that, so he was going against the rules, the protocol. And when the Empire showed up, they were at first strict to the protocol that Two Boots was aware of, and then Blake and other members of the Empire were deviating from that protocol themselves. Like, wait a minute, this is not making any sense.
Yeah.
None of this makes sense to me.
Yeah. So he is very conflicted as to what is going on. And it just keeps getting better. So he's like, so now he's being told that his partner is a criminal and his partner's son is a criminal. And then it cuts back to Maul. And one of the other mercs are now getting angry. And as he's getting angry, Rook says, since you claimed the throne of Mandalore, she says this to Maul, I have followed you without question. However, the Republic liberated Mandalore just before they turned into the Empire. The Republic liberated Mandalore just before they turned into the Empire. So afterwards, the Empire cracked down on the planet and occupied the cities. This led to the Empire plundering all of the Beskar from the planet and then laying waste to it in an event called the Night of a Thousand Tears. So we're learning all this, and this event eventually fractured Mandalorian people. And that's why some of these guys are like, screw you, Revolutionary Maul. I'm in it for the reward. So every move we make is in the greater plan. Her allegiance is to her master. Her allegiance can be severed, he says. Maul says to her. And she says, yes, so can that of the mercenaries. So Maul keeps talking about how he's trying to break Devon's allegiance to her master. And Rook is saying, while you're so determined to break her allegiance, you're not realizing that the mercenaries are about to break their allegiance from you because you're so focused on her and not realizing that these guys are here with you right now.
Well,
So
it's amazing how many folks or groups of folks are used as tools to somebody else's end.
yeah,
So even if you look at the countless stormtroopers that we've seen in this season, all of them are doing the work that Sidious wants them to do. So they're just, cogs in a wheel, which is
Mhm.
another reason why that Imperial logo is what the Imperial logo is. Um, but they're tools to an end, and the mercenaries and the other crime families are also tools to Maul's end, and not all of them see the same vision that Maul does.
Yeah. Yep. That is correct. Sure thing. And then Lawson calls up Two Boots on the little comm link that we first see in A New Hope. And Two Boots, it goes off and he looks at it and he's like panicked because he's like, I want to answer this, but also the Imperials are right over there. And I know they're not going to be happy. So he's like looking around and he's trying to find a safe place for it. So he puts it in his lunchbox. He's now figuring it out. It's now finally registering. He's like, okay, I'm going to hold off on answering this for a second. Um, then we see Riley quickly. He's in the holding cell and he is not happy. Then the Imperials catch up to Maul. And Lundi is barely getting through a collapsing door, very much like Indiana Jones, but the Inquisitors are waiting on the other side. So Maul's been in situations like this, but this time Maul is fighting injured. Daki damaged his robotic knee during their duel, so this is a huge fight. This fight was awesome. There was so much going on. Um, Maul's fighting the two Inquisitors, so there's three double-sided lightsabers going all over the place. One of the lightsabers is spinning around in circles. The other two lightsabers, they're spinning them around with their hands like a bow staff. Red swirling lights all over the place. There's laser blasts, pew 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 pew, going all over the place from the mercenaries dying and shooting each other to the stormtroopers shooting back and forth. There's gunships attacking people. So people were jumping through the waterfalls. The effects were so cool when they jumped through the waterfall. Did you see the steam coming off the lightsabers after they jumped through?
Yeah, they could have never done that in 2008.
No way. And even as they jump through the waterfall, the water effect even like went with them a little bit. And then the steam was coming off the lightsabers. So good. Jumping from platform to platform, all the stuff going on. So much fighting going all over the place. Like we could spend 2 hours just breaking down all the fight scenes. Um, so the two Zabreks are with him, and he's almost um, he almost is about to get killed when one of the Zabreks jumps in front of it and uh, buys him just enough time for final confrontation with the Inquisitors. Then they do a spinny thing with their sabers, and they tell him the Emperor wants you dead, and that's because at this point the Emperor can no longer use Maul. So now even Maul is just that same cog that stormtroopers are, that same piece of that wheel that is no longer usable. So we need to replace that piece of the wheel. And he says, he puts his hands up. This is really cool. And even when he put his hands up, I was like, what? Maul's surrendering? This is crazy. And he's like, they're like, oh, surrender is no good for you. Like, he wants you dead. And he goes, that's fine. And he uses the force and he pulls the rocks down from above him. And everybody goes running. And that's when episode 7 ends. The Inquisitors go left, Maul goes right, and episode 7 ends. So it ends on a great, great fight. It was really, really cool. Anything else you want to say about episode 7 before we move on to
Well,
8?
that line about how the Emperor wants you dead is
Mhm.
by far I think the nail in the coffin for Maul's relationship with the Emperor,
Yeah.
because there were many times before this where he wanted it to happen. The Emperor could have done it himself, but the Emperor, that in those other moments, like spoiler for some of the earlier seasons of the Clone Wars, but the Emperor was torturing Maul with Force lightning. He could have killed him there,
Mhm.
and he actually said, "Oh no, I don't want you dead. I have other uses for you."
Yeah.
Now to have Merrick, one of the Inquisitors, one of the henchmen of the henchmen say the emperor wants you dead, that's the end of the relationship. The honeymoon is over. The re-return is over. So the relationship between Maul and the emperor is pretty much kaput at that moment.
Yeah, like Maul already was on a vengeance mission. He wanted to kill the Emperor as it was. And even with that, he had a little bit of inkling in the back of his head that maybe once he saw him, the Emperor would be like, "Oh, you're home. I love you. Give me a big hug and I'll take you back." But now that he has heard the Emperor wants you dead, that has really put him over the edge now. Um,
Yes, in
and
many ways over the edge.
in many ways over the edge, yes. And that's where episode 8 starts. So, episode 8 is called The Creeping Fear, and it's in both stories. Like one especially, the Maul one is pretty obvious, but also in the B story as well, like because the fear I think for the B story is them, trying to A, save the sun, and then also B, like they still want to try and get off the planet and try and like save themselves. So there's a little bit of fear going on with them as well. So
Well, I
um
think there's even the C story. You could say that the B story is with Docky and Devin. What are
mhm,
they going to do? How are they going to survive this?
yeah.
That C story is Brander Lawson, his son Riley, and Lawson's partner Two Boots.
Yeah.
He's like the uncle.
Mhm.
He's not really family, but he's family. I
But
mean,
he's
Riley
family, yeah.
himself. Yeah, Riley says he's known him his whole life.
Yeah, and they dangled that carrot in episodes 1 and 2 about the mom and the fact that the mom works for the Empire. And even when when Riley called and the mom said, "Just do what the Empire wants, everything will be fine. If you just answer their questions, everything will be okay." So what's going on there? Like we need to see her. They want to dangle that carrot if we're not going to eventually see her. So when are we going to see her as well? So we need to get that story together and find out what's going on with her as well. So maybe season 2 because I can't see her showing up in episodes 9 or 10, but maybe we'll get to her soon. I don't know. All right, so this episode begins right as Merrick and the sixth brother are still alive and they're rescued by the Imperials. Uh, Maul's forces also regroup, and as Maul's forces regroup, they call Rook Lady Cast. Lady Cast, we need to move out of Imperial range, which lets you know that she is of some Mandalorian royalty. So that's interesting that they called her Lady. And then we get to the heart of the episode, and this the um what's the name? Ryan Airy called it Maul's spirit journey. This whole sequence, which was 3/4, 9/10 of the episode of Maul reliving his whole life, was amazing. So cool. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome." But he just keeps reliving in his head when he rises in the rubble. The Inquisitor's words keep echoing in his head. The Emperor wants you dead. And he looks into a puddle and he sees himself from the Clone Wars. And when Sidious captures Maul, and instead of killing him, which might have been some comfort to Maul because at least his former master still thought he served some purpose, but now he has been truly cast aside. And then we see step by step why this is so devastating for him. We always knew that Maul was motivated by revenge, but it's one of his few lines in The Phantom Menace. At least we will have revenge. And then he wanted revenge on Kenobi, and then the revenge on Sidious and the Crime Lords. You name it. This episode finally cuts to the heart of why revenge is so important to him. It's not because of his pride, it's because without revenge, he feels vulnerable. Maul seeks revenge so he never again has to feel like a weak child. So he tries at first to climb out of the hole, metaphorically trying to rise above his core feelings and his fears, but he slips back down. Then he has to face his true self, the young man in his reflection. So his first reflection is Darth Maul from when he was a boy. He sees Mother Talzin make an agreement with Darth Sidious to give him a boy to train. But as Talzin admitted, the son of Darthmore Comics issue 3, this was not her choice, as she says. Sidious promised to give me his right hand, but instead he stole what was most dear to me, my own flesh and blood, my son. So then when Maul looks down and sees the reflection of the young boy, this enrages him and forces him away. It's his first step of his journey, denial, over. And then the title card shows up and you hear Palpatine laughing. Then we cut back to the police station. Riley is brought into the same interrogation room as his father a couple episodes ago. And the scratch marks are still on the table. And then the sixth brother enters and he says, tell me everything you know. And he says, I don't know anything. I'm still confused. I'm not sure. It seems like they didn't do anything to him, but he is definitely different.
Well, for all we know, when the doors were closed and we didn't see inside, that they weren't using their force ability to enter Riley's mind, just like they entered his father's mind. You know,
What
and
was the
go ahead,
last?
sorry.
The Rogue One, the TV series for the Rogue One, Andor, when they were torturing the woman yes, like I feel like it was almost like that, like he was in his mind and it was kind of like torturing him. And then even like I wrote it towards the end, but I'll bring it up now. I don't know, you probably remember because you're old like me. Red Dawn. Do you remember the Red Dawn movie with Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
There was a scene when one of the girls got captured and then she came back to the hideout and she was just like quiet and just sitting there. And they were like, what's wrong? And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then the Russians they like stormed into their hideout. And she was like, they made me do it. And she swallowed a tracker. It was like a little pill that was like a tracker. I feel
Yep.
like
Well, how about in Harry Potter with when they gave the Chang the truth serum?
Yeah.
And she told the Inquisitors then about the room of requirement.
Yeah. So
you know, and I think it's that kind of mental torture that changes someone. They don't really they can't really describe what happened. They just know that it happened and it affected them. Even, you know, in The Last Jedi, when we saw Kylo Ren entering Rey's mind,
right,
and then Rey entering Kylo's mind, they both left that experience different. Or Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back, when, you know, he said, I didn't even say anything, but Vader tortured him.
Yeah. So I think it was something like that. I think they got in there and, you know, he said, I didn't say anything, man. They didn't need to because they just dug into his mind and whatever. So I think they know something and whatever. So then Rena, they get in touch with Rena and she says, we leave in 2 hours. And he said, I can't get there in 2 hours. And she was like, well, it leaves in 2 hours, whether you're here or not. And then Officer Wade is walking past Two Boots and he's like, why are you acting more? He said more something than you normally
Weirder
are.
than normal.
More weirder than normal. And he said something, and then Officer Wade goes, Chief Clyde is dead. And he's like, no, Chief Clyde was whatever. And he goes, no, that means that she's dead. And he was like, what? And he finally explains to him, and now Two Boots finally has put everything together. And those computer chips have finally all and all connected. And he's like, okay, I cannot leave Devin in this cell now because bad things are going to happen to him. So he's like,
which I think is wonderful symbolism, because if you think about him up until this point, he's been following his protocol. He's been following his programming. And in these moments that you're describing, he's choosing as a robot to deviate from that programming for what he believes is the best choice, or to protect those he finds most dear, his family, Riley and Brander Lawson.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think it's great that he's seeing this now, and he's like, okay. So, so then he's like, okay, I need to, uh, oh, and literally, so then he's like, I need to, oh, and then it cuts to Darth Maul in the sewers again. So it just clicks in his head, and then we go away. It's so back and forth and back and forth. So when we see Darth Maul in the sewer, he's now confronting his father figure, Palpatine. We see Palpatine demanding that Maul sacrifice everything to his master. And then we go topside. We see that Lawson has decided to sacrifice himself for his son. It's showing us the two different methods of fatherhood. And then we see Two Boots overcoming his logic and saying, I am rescuing you, as he goes into uh, Riley's cell. He goes, let's go. I'm rescuing you. And so then it was so funny him walking him out. And he's like, act normal. And Riley's like, I am acting normal. You're the one that's not acting normal. So it
Yep.
was really
It made me
funny.
think of K2SO from Rogue
Yes.
One.
Yeah. She
I'm
was,
bringing these prisoners to the prison to
yes,
imprison them.
to imprison them. And even like it never works out, which is always funny. So, um, so then it goes back to Maul again. The Emperor wants you dead, and then Maul has to trudge through the sand in the tunnel. And even though the metaphor is clear, Maul is struggling to move through his past and deal with his trauma. He sees himself as a younger man with his brother, Savage Opress. Now, in the Clone Wars, Mother Talzin made Opress stronger with the dark side magic so he could become Dooku's apprentice. He later betrayed Doku, and rescued his brother. And the two of them formed the gangster organization, the Shadow Collective. In the Sandstorm, Maul sees his training with Sidious, where every mistake was met with excruciating force lightning. So he's reliving all of these moments over and over again as he's seeing this, and every single time he keeps hearing in his head, the Emperor wants you dead, the Emperor wants you dead, as he's doing this, and it's just more and more anger. The anger once again is leading him through this, getting him out of this tunnel, just like it did when he built the spider legs, and he goes through all of this all over again. There's a flashlight with Obi-Wan Kenobi as we hear actual audio from the Phantom Menace. This is followed by Maul's point of view of how the fight ended. Um, then he sees a vision of himself in the garbage dump when Savage rescued him from the madness, which was from the Clone Wars. Followed by Palpatine killing his brother on Mandalore, and then Maul mourning over his body. With all this trauma, trying to force Maul back, his hate drives him forward, so he just keeps going and going and going, and it's just like he did before. It's just all his hate, and then we cut to Devin, also running forward past a Rodian. She enters a garage and decides this is the best. This is so funny. So there was a clip, a meme from Master Doki who said, don't steal anything in episode 2. We do not live by stealing. And then in this episode, he goes, yeah, we're going to need a fast mode of transportation. Go try and find us a ship that or a vehicle that can get us out of here. So he went from
Well,
don't
that's the
steal.
second time that happened
Okay. I
because
forgot.
Daki made her steal the gunship.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where she jumped on the canopy
Uh-huh.
through the storm to his death.
Uh-huh.
And this time she goes into a parking garage and sees a really souped up hot rod. It's like, yeah, this will work.
This will work. And she was great in this, by the way, which once again just shows like she's definitely leaning on the not full Jedi way of thinking. Because she just
Which is
walks
very much
over.
like Anakin was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even Anakin and then Ahsoka as well.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, yeah. And she's like,
Whatever.
yeah, I'm gonna it was really funny because she walks up, he's like, hey. And she's like, oh, no, I was just admiring your vehicle. And he's like, ugh. She's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna need this. And he has like whatever it was, some kind of a wrench, and she just beat the snot out of him. Then they open the side door and two more come out. And it was so great. They're like holding her arms and she's like, "Really? You think that's going to stop me?" And like all three of them are big monster beasts. And the next thing you see is the three of them laying on the ground and her driving away. So they don't even waste the time with showing her beat them up. They just go, "Yeah, she's going to kick their butts."
And at least these three she let live.
Yeah,
She just pummeled them a little bit and took their ride.
and took their rides. And as the ship leaves, you see them moving around too. So you knew that she didn't kill them, which was a good look. Um, so then and then an 80s chase scene starts, which was awesome. So at the police station, two boots just taking a prisoner to another cell block, and it didn't work. And then he gets to the last two guys, and they said, "I wasn't notified. No transfers were scheduled." And then two boots went from a bubbling idiot to sharpshooter stun gun master. He took out four stormtroopers. Pew 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 so fast. He was like, "Get down," and he shot the next four. Let me tell you, between him and Lawson, I don't know how there are any bad guys left on that planet because they are both so good with the gun. They are such great sharpshooters. Um, they could be training all of the Empire, all the stormtroopers on how to shoot because the two of them are such good shots. It was crazy. So then
And Chubut stunned them too. He didn't
yes,
kill him. He used the
nope.
stun blast.
They did. And Lawson was also using a stun blaster as well. So they both were using stun blasters, which for those of you that don't know, if it's shooting a blue circle, it's a stun. If it's the red laser bolts, it's to kill in Star Wars. So if you see it shooting a blue circle, that's a stun gun as opposed to the red laser, which is to kill. So yep, so they were both doing that. So then um Oh, by the way, when they were on the phone earlier, when they finally got through to Lawson, got through to Two Boots, he told him, "We're gonna do a trade. You can take me in, just free my son." So then he's bringing him out, and as he brings him out, Two Boots is like, yeah, I guess the deal is off. We're all leaving," because Two Boots knew at this point that he just stunned all these stormtroopers. They're not going to let him come back in without him also going to jail. So now all of them run. They're like, I thought your Padawan was getting us a ship," and she came up, boom, 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 taking out people. Does a spin. The door swings open. They jump in, and this is like a
What was
scene.
her line? Was it like, "Hey boys"?
Hey boys, yeah. And this could have been a scene in, I would say, Fast and the Furious, maybe episodes 4 or 5. You would probably say episodes go ahead, say it, 6 or
6 or 7.
there you go. I was waiting for it. You love those two numbers.
You know, you pick one.
You pick one. But yeah, this is such a good chase scene. They're going all over the place. They're jumping over stuff. They're, going from one road to the other road. Lawson, or not Lawson, Docky's telling them, "Oh, you want to drive slow so you don't draw a lot of attention." And they're like, "Yeah, let's just get fast through this tunnel so that we can get away from them." And then the LAAT is at the other side of the tunnel. He's like, "You're not gonna be able to outrun that." Then they start they're doing J turns, doors are swinging open, people are hanging out of the side, shooting guns at people. Of course, they're getting speeder bikes are banging into walls and flying over things. Um,
Well, at one point, Docky used a speeder bike as a projectile to take down a gunship.
It was awesome. It was so good. They launched the speeder bike. Yeah, they launched one into the gunship. They used the force against another speeder bike. Oh my gosh. It was so good. Now, I know this is a cartoon and it's much easier to do all this really, really cool stuff in a cartoon. But when we had the um book of
Speeder bikes.
the Book of Boba Fett chase scene of the almost like the Vespa chasing that was so slow. And then we get this animated chasing that was so fast and so good, so much better. They totally redeemed themselves with this chasing. Oh my gosh, it was so much better. But yeah, this chasing was amazing. They get all the way through, they get out to freedom, and then they're just like driving away in freedom. Um, so then they get out to freedom. It's awesome, so much fun. And then they go back to Maul, and Maul is in a new building. And oh, nope, I take that back. So then they get in touch with Rena, and they're now in the elevator going down. Right? Yes, I think that was next. Here's the story. I'm willing to do this. Anyone else? Oh no. Oh, we go back to Maul. Sorry. Okay, then finally, then we get back to Maul. So while all the heroes are soaring, Maul is limping through the sewers, and he once again sees his younger self in the puddle. But instead of violently brushing away the image, he makes a promise: I won't let him do this to anyone else. And then the ripples slowly fade into Maul's current face. So now the child is the father of the man, meaning that we are all shaped by our past trauma. So now Maul is no longer trying to fight his fear or suppress his feelings. He's now going to remember how Sidious made him feel and use that fear to get his revenge. So now he is determined, even more so, to get revenge. So
Well, this
now
is where it becomes his revenge
his
and
revenge.
not doing the work for Sidious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though Maul had for a long time a focus on Obi-Wan Kenobi and surviving so he could take back Obi-Wan, take back his revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi for cutting him in half. Um, there was a point where Maul was still thinking he could support the Emperor. He could
Mm-hmm.
do, the Emperor's bidding. He could be meaningful for him. But now he's at a place after hearing that the Emperor wants him dead. Well, if you're gonna say I'm dead, you're dead to me, and I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So then from there, the heroes get closer to Ren's ship. Devin tells Riley, fear is natural. We just can't allow it to control us. And this is the opposite lesson that Maul learned in this episode. He's decided to use fear as a weapon. Going back to how dark side users draw their strings, fear is the path to the dark side. So now they're in the elevator, and the Jedi immediately senses something is wrong. This is where I said Riley's still the same, and the Red Dawn situation, all that good stuff. And then Master Doki says, nope, something is not right. I sense it as well. And as soon as they said that, even though they tried to stop the elevator, you knew they were getting out. I mean, it was so clear. But then they call Rena, and she says whatever she says to them, like, "Oh yeah, getting you off of this planet, we sure are." He was like, "Yep, she's been compromised. All right,
It's not a great ship, but it'll get us to Catalore,
yeah, it'll get us to Catalore."
which is a safe word that those two have used before because they were bounty hunters together.
Right. So he knew that was the clue. That was the key word there. So, so then, um, so then they open up the elevator doors. Open up, and they see there's a hole in the ceiling. There's nobody in the elevator, and then Rena, she was one heck of a bounty hunter at one time because she did a great job of taking out every single person that was down there. I don't think so. I hope she was somehow managed to survive, but
I think she dove behind some of those storage boxes.
yeah, that are always around. Uh, because she started shooting into the engine of the ship to get the engine to blow up, and you saw a major explosion. But this is Star Wars. So if you don't see the person die, you aren't positive that the person died. Now, we did see her shoot a couple of people. We saw her shoot some stormtroopers. I don't think we saw her shoot the captain, the officer, whatever his name was, Blake. Yeah. I don't think we saw her actually shoot Blake. She had the gun pointing at him at one point, but then I think that's when she turned and started shooting the engine,
The ship.
the ship.
Yeah.
And then we didn't see him die and we didn't see her die. Now, you were to believe that he's dead and hope that she's not. So she could have jumped behind the boxes. She was very acrobatic in all of her moves. She was able to, do a backflip and kick people and this and that, all kinds of really cool things. So maybe she was able to get free and save herself from the blast. So hopefully she did. Um, but then we go to Maul and his forces take over the penthouse that belonged to Doku, which you saw back in episode 1. And then Lundy tells them that was a. They said they're not going to be looking for us in here. He's dead. They would be looking for us at my place, which we're not going to. And then his phone rings, and Rook is like, no phone calls. They're going to be able to track you. And he was like, it's untrackable because I was a bounty hunter. I can handle this. And she was like, okay. So do you think the Empire is going to be able to find them from the phone or not? I'm thinking yes, but hopefully
It's
not.
definitely possible for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
um,
and guess who was on the phone?
right, which was awesome. So then he goes, that was a representative from Crimson Dawn, Trident Voss, request an audience, which was awesome. And it just reminded me, it was so funny. In The Office, when Robert California went to Joe Bennett and convinced Joe Bennett to give him her job of the CEO of the company, because we all know that eventually Maul becomes the leader of Crimson Dawn. Because if you watch the very end of Solo, she reports back to Maul as the true leader of Crimson Dawn. Kira reports back to Darth Maul. So this guy, Trident Voss, calls Maul. He wants to have an audience with him. And now eventually Maul's going to take over as the leader of Crimson Dawn. So I love it. He's like, hey, why don't you meet with me? And he's going to lose his job to Maul, which is great. I love that part. So and that's how it ends. That's episodes 7 and 8. Anything else you want to add to it there, Ken? You have a lot of knowledge. You know things that I don't.
Well, I just hope that they, after the episodes 9 and 10 come out, that they put the soundtrack out there for us. Right now, the only thing that's available on like Apple Music or Spotify or whatever is one song from, or one track
Okay.
from this show. And this music is so intense.
Yeah, the music is so
It
good.
feels like it just bears down on you, and it's unnerving and unsettling, and it's really rich to listen to. I've listened to that song probably 100 times driving to and from work. It's incredible, and I hope they put out the whole entire soundtrack for us. But I'm continued to be amazed by the depths and layers of complexity that we're getting for this character who, in all honesty, we shouldn't be rooting for.
No,
We
no.
shouldn't be on Maul's side for any reason whatsoever.
Right.
And it's being presented in a way that we're like, I get it. Like now I understand this guy a little bit more. I mean, I think, Darth Vader and Anakin's story is incredibly tragic.
Right.
I think Maul's is equally tragic in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see this, you told some of the story where you see Maul as a child who was taken from his family and tormented and tortured and, in his own words, indoctrinated by Sidious to do his bidding and to be the best evildoer there is.
Yep.
And he did it because he wanted to live. He could have very easily just ended it or let him be ended, and he
Right.
didn't. He continued to perform for this guy's benefit, this Darth Sidious's benefit. And we see the torment that all of these things have built up in him. Where he's literally and figuratively half the person he once was.
And also, did you like his robotic leg is still broken? Like it started with the knee, and now his side is even more broken. and he keeps punching at it because it's misfiring. And when they were fixing his leg in the last episode, you saw him wince. So the just like when Luke Skywalker's robotic hand was being repaired, like he
Yep.
winced. So there's somehow through the robotics, there's feeling in there. He keeps punching it the same way Darth Maul, not Darth Maul, Ben
Right.
Kenobi, yeah,
Yep.
was like punching his ribs when he was injured. It was like the same like type of reaction to the pain.
Yep.
And I thought that was a fun nod to him as well. So that was pretty neat. Um,
And I also think that this could be, a foreshadow of what we see Darth Maul be like, or actually in Rebels, he was just known as Maul. He
yeah,
had dropped the Darth title,
yeah,
and I think one of the things that some of us forget about is this: when he was under the tutelage of Darth Sidious, that he was a religious fanatic. He was a member of the Sith,
yeah,
which is a certain mindset. And at some point, he's going to stop being a Sith leader. He wants to learn the secrets of the Sith because it has power and these kind of things. But he's not that devotee where it's the rule of two, where there's one person to have all the power and everybody else to lust for it.
yeah. Especially now that the Sith leader wants him dead, that he's definitely like,
Yes.
all right, whatever. I'm done with you also. So I'll be done with this religion and I'm just gonna do my own thing at this point. So it
Yep.
is fun that in this season is when we're finding now like his, I don't want to say the start of his like revenge on Sidious, because like in Maul, he his whole or in Maul in Rebels, the whole time we saw him in Rebels, he was trying to plot to destroy the Empire then also. So like if you watch Rebels, you knew that this was his game plan, was he wanted to get rid of the Empire. So now we're seeing like the origin story, I guess, of why he wants to get rid of the Empire and whatever. So it's fun, it's interesting, it's good, and like we said, every episode's gotten better and better. So I'm enjoying it a lot, and I really like these last two episodes, and then it's going to be crazy that next week is the last two episodes of the show. It's going to be an interesting way to end it, so it'll be fun to see where it goes. So
Yeah, and to have it end on Star Wars Day of all
yeah,
days.
yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So
The
uh
only thing that I have not liked about it is the fact that it's released at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
right, yeah, I it's funny because I don't even get to watch it till like Tuesday and sometimes even into Wednesday. So I'm like, oh, I need to make sure I watch this because I need to talk about it. And I'm like, oh no. So yeah, so I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. to watch it. And then I gotta try and find some time in between the day to watch it and all that other stuff. So and
Yeah,
I
what
don't
I'm doing is I'm getting up at 2:45 to take the dog outside, and then I watch both episodes.
uh and I don't like two episodes in a row because even though they're 28 minutes and 6 minutes are credits and all that stuff, so they're really only like 20 minutes long. Like, just give me one episode a week. Make it a little longer. Make it last 10 weeks. Give me one episode. That way I can watch that one episode 3 or 4 times where I can really enjoy it rather than two episodes that I can only watch, once or twice and have a good understanding, but not a really, really good understanding. So I don't know.
Well, that's something that ever since streaming has become a thing that I haven't really understood.
Hmm.
Because some shows, even in the same series, some episodes will be 26 minutes, some will be 47 minutes, some
Yeah.
will be 58 minutes. Um, and in this one, we're getting two back to back. So to your point, why don't we just have one where the episodes are smooshed together? Like, what is the
Yeah.
the, the benefit or the rationale behind two episodes per week. And I don't know if it was they were originally intending it to be just one episode per week. And then they said, well, wait a minute. If we put 2 episodes per week, we could have it come out on Star Wars Day, finish, and then a few weeks where we can really ramp up the intensity for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that's coming out in a couple weeks after that.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean they've been, this has been their MO for a while now. Even like some of the shows they did like 3 episodes in one week. I think with Skeleton Crew,
Yep.
there was one week that they had 3 episodes that came out in one week. And I'm like, what's going on there? So I don't know. We need to talk to some brass, some head honchos over at Disney Plus and
I
find
gotta
out
ask
why.
Dave Filoni next time I
Yeah,
see him.
next time you see him, ask him. Be like, hey Dave, what's the deal? What's with this release schedule here? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know, but all right. Well, enough of that. I think we had a good rundown. So why don't you give me that rundown? And you'll be back next week with me as well.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. So I don't know if you remember, but from all of us here at Bantha Milk Podcast, we have spoken.
And as I say, let the Wookiee win.
Let the Wookiee win. That's right. All right. Good night, everybody.